All right. Welcome to bizsugar Live. Monique Johnson is with us today. She's a social media strategy leader and a personal branding expert with an emphasis on using video. She has over 8 years experience working in-house for major tech and digital media. Monique has been featured on Small Business Trends, Animoto, Social Media Marketing World, HubSpot's Inbound Conference, the recent Small Biz 8 event, and more. Currently, she leads strategy at her social media and video marketing agency, Live Video Lab, for major brands, B2B and B2C, and Fortune 500 C-level executives. In addition, she is also on our advisory board for bizsugar and provides support and leadership to entrepreneurs and small business owners looking to grow their businesses online. Take it away, Monique.
All right. Thank you so much, Gail. I just want to say thank you to bizsugar. As Gail stated, I am a board member, and it's been an amazing opportunity to be a part of this mastermind community, let alone just seeing how Gail has put in amazing work to grow this community as a whole. So I just want to say thank you so much for having me here today. And so first things first, before we kick things off, I would love to know in the comments if anyone currently uses social media. And if so, what is your favorite platform? Just go ahead and put it in the Q&A section of this platform. As Gail has stated, it's on the left-hand side of your screen. I just want to let you guys know this is going to be an interactive experience. Also, there will be some step-by-step tutorial kind of segments to it as well. And so I'm just really, really thankful again to have you guys here. I love that you guys are here to learn, let alone just based on what we have gone through globally, based on the pandemic, has been amazing. And I'm loving that you guys are letting me know your favorite platforms coming in right now. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen right now. And with that said, let's kick it off. So today we're going to talk about your social media brand, and there's an emphasis on your. The reason why I intentionally put this here is the fact that I feel that a lot of people, especially business owners, feel that they are at the mercy of the algorithms of the various platforms that are out there, and really that's not the case. If you know the rules of engagement, the rules of the algorithm, you really actually have most of the control. But a lot of times I feel that business owners get either one, overwhelmed, they're not clear, or they feel like they're just throwing a bunch of things against the wall to see what sticks. But really, it's your brand. And so it's very, very important that you stay intentional and taking ownership as if it's yourself. So basically, your social media brand is this. It's your voice, it's your mind, it's your heart, it's your face. I gotta stress that it's your face. A lot of times, unless you're a major, major brand like a Coca-Cola, you can get away with utilizing your logo. But a lot of you all are small business owners, let alone might be starting from scratch or at the beginner or intermediate level. And so people relate and connect the most with physical faces. So even if it's a mascot, put some sort of face there. But again, your social media brand is all of these four things: your voice, your mind, your heart, and your face. Now, with that said, I want to bring to your attention this guy. If you don't know who he is, real quickly, this is Grant Cardone. Whether you love him or hate him, the reason why I bring him to your attention is he's on social media. And the reason why a lot of people know him is because of social media. And I want to share with you a quote that he has, but more so than anything else, even though he runs an online business, he's very much offline as well, dealing with real estate and other businesses that he's a part of. So here's a quick quote for you guys. He says, you have to be known. You have to be thought of for that product, service, or idea before your competitors. So when people want to buy your product, they think of you and your products. And taking this, I want to kind of switch it up here for a second to let you guys know that this is something to really take advantage of, let alone anything else. And even though he talks a lot about real estate and other things, we just want to make sure that based on this workshop, you want to know how to use social media and be effective and not be used by social media and be a consumer of it. The average Joe out there, or I'll say the average business owner, is more so the latter of this statement. They are being used by social media and being a consumer of it. As a result, they are drowning in the social media world. And so it's a matter of how to be effective and being intentional and strategic. And the thing is about social media, and let me know if you guys think this, but you don't need a lot of followers. In fact, you don't need a lot of views if you're using video. You don't need professional equipment. All you need when it comes to social media and the digital world is consistency, quality content, and your smartphone. I have to stress this enough, smartphone, because every single social media platform out there is accessible by your smartphone. Your smartphone is your own personal media company. And as Gary Vaynerchuk states all the time, you are a media company, no matter what industry that you are in. And whether you're team iPhone or team Android, let me know in the comments if you are, which one. I'm team iPhone all the way, or team Apple rather. But using your smartphone to either do written posts, take pictures, and do videos, that's all you need. Now, of course, you can utilize other equipment, but to get started right now today, and that's our intention here for this particular mini workshop, is to use what you have already. And I want to bring to your attention this book called The Compound Effect. Anyone have heard of this? Let me know. By Darren Hardy. But the main principle behind this book is this: if you do small, consistent activities on a consistent basis, it will dramatically increase your ROI, especially when it comes to online. I'm gonna be frank with you guys. If you're just getting started, or if you're deciding, okay, I'm gonna see what Monique has to say and I'm gonna be effective, I'm gonna use video, I'm gonna use these different tactics and techniques. The thing about it is you're gonna suck, okay? You're gonna suck. So if you can accept that, then you will be successful. If you allow that to stop you from being consistent, then you will not be successful. Based on this graph that you see here, as time goes by, those who decide to be consistent on social media and those who do not decide to be consistent on social media are pretty much starting at the same spot. And initially, you get the same kind of results if you decide to be sporadic versus being consistent. But as time goes by, that's indicated by that black line, you'll start to see the percentage of increase of improvement and decline as each day or week or month goes by that you decide not to do social media. And as you can see here, by doing small, consistent activities, not looking for big wins, not looking for thousands of views, thousands of likes, but consistent small wins, consistent activities, you will be successful with social media. But again, you must accept the fact that you won't get that immediate return immediately. So let's get started with these different type of platforms. So the 300-pound gorilla that you cannot ignore, whether you love it or hate it, is Facebook. Okay, Facebook is the 300-pound gorilla that you cannot ignore because everyone and their mom and their mom's mom is on this platform. It's best for reaching millennials, or rather older millennials. I'll be frank, I am an older millennial, Gen Xers, and based on the pandemic, there are even older demographics on this platform and using social media. And here's just a small little tidbit here. Gen X spends nearly 7 hours per week on social. Now, this is a statistic pre-COVID. After this, or during COVID now, it has immediately and drastically improved, okay? Or not improved, but rather the amount of hours have increased dramatically. And the thing about it is this. The reason why we can't ignore it is, can anyone tell me approximately how many people exist on the wonderful planet of Earth, of the solar system? If you guys don't know, it's approximately 7 billion people. And guess how many people are on Facebook? 2 billion people. So that's almost a third of the world's population that's on this platform. So that's why it's the 300-pound gorilla platform that you cannot ignore, especially from a business perspective, whether it's organic or paid. And we're going to talk about how you can utilize and the different techniques in order to be successful with Facebook. All right. And I want to kind of switch the gears in your head. Instead of thinking of 2 billion people, it's 2 billion prospects. That's the one thing that if you were to watch Grant Cardone, because he's all over the internet using video, using the different things, he gets the game. He says he wants to be the most recognized and most popular salesman in the world. And he doesn't look at users on platforms to be users. He sees them as prospects. And I want you all to kind of flip the switch in your heads and think and have that similar mindset. You have the opportunity to reach 2 billion prospects to be a part of your business. Now, the thing about it here is Social media is about engagement. I can't say that enough. Social media is about engagement, and it's not a one-way platform, broadcasting platform. Okay. I think that's a big, big mistake or amateur or rookie mistake for business owners is that they feel that they just broadcast, look at me, look at me, look at me. No, think about it. In school, we were taught about ecosystems, right? How they work. And if there's a certain part of the ecosystem that doesn't work, the whole thing falls apart. Well, the same goes with social media and each platform that exists. Each of them have different ecosystems. But guess what? Guess who's the number one or the first user or not user, the first step for any ecosystem in social media? It's the audience, your viewers. That is the first step, no matter what platform you're on. So, with that said, it's not about you, it's about them. And it's not about you doing broadcasting. So, with that said, let's kick it off more with Facebook. So, bare minimum, in my strongest opinion, as a business owner, have a personal profile. And in order to have a business page, or it's actually called a Facebook fan page, but I know a lot of business owners want to call it or refer to it as a business page. But in order to have a fan page / business page, you must have a profile. So that means you got to exist on Facebook in the first place, and then having a group. Now, a lot of you might think, oh, I don't want to do a group. That's a lot of work. Well, it depends. If a lot of you guys are very focused on local business, having a group is very, very much important. Something that I highly suggest for you to consider. Having a group is thinking of it as like your VIPers, being known. People will recognize you. Having conversations, positioning yourself as an authority. So this little kind of ecosystem here helps you become successful on Facebook. Now, when it comes to creating a business page, if you haven't done so already, it's all about being a business or brand or community or public figure. In my strongest opinion, to have both. Again, as I stated before at the very beginning, social media is your face. So if any of you are very, very much wanting to be successful with social media, putting your face or the mascot or whatever it is, or even if it's someone else on your team, to have a public figure page and also having a business or brand page. Okay. So, with that said, this is just some immediate kind of, I call it pre work, but AKA homework. If you haven't done so already, a Facebook profile, set up a Facebook page, AKA business page, a Facebook group, and initially making it public. Okay. So, that's Facebook. I know this is a brief overview, but this is a way to get started and tap into the 2 billion prospects that we just talked about. Next is Instagram. So with Instagram, a lot of you might have a presence on there. If not, let me know. But especially with Instagram, automatically when you first set up, you are set up as personal. And as you can see, there's 3 types of profiles that you can have on Instagram. There's personal, creator, and business. Now, based on all of these, if you guys haven't done so already, you change your personal profile to creator or business. And we're going to talk about that in just a moment. But especially when you're ready to do paid traffic, you got to be a creator or business to look at insights, analytics, buttons. And that's what I also want to stress with social media. Don't be emotionally tied. It's all about the numbers. It's all about tracking. And so, with that said, I personally have a business account, but I might even consider going to creator if I want to incorporate more of the features that they have, such as Reels, which is their version of TikTok, et cetera, et cetera. But again, as those of you guys that are watching this, it's all about switching it from your personal to creator or business. So, number one, you get instant access to analytics. Number two, you're able to do paid traffic when you're ready to do so. So, homework assignment for Instagram: create an account on Instagram. Create a YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. Create a Twitter account. Now, I asked you guys some of your favorite platforms. Someone already mentioned Twitter. Someone already mentioned LinkedIn and all that other stuff. Right now, we're going to tackle this. And yes, we can even include in there, if you haven't done so already, is to set up a LinkedIn account as well. So real quick, I'm going to share with you, just in case if you don't know how to go from personal to creator or business, this is how you do it. This is all done on your phone, hence why we said having a smartphone is imperative. So what you do is when you're in Instagram, in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see these 3 little bars. You click on that. This menu pops up that you see here. Number 2 is you open settings. Then you scroll all the way to the bottom and select accounts, as you see here, right? And then once you do that, you will scroll down again. And this time you'll either select creator account or business account. Okay? It's very, very simple to switch to do this, because as a business owner, social media, as we stated before, you're not a consumer of it. You're using it. You're learning how to use it, be effective, and being intentional with it. Okay. So with that said, that's how you get started with Instagram. The first initial step. From there, you're able to look at analytics. You'll be surprised. Instagram will let you know which day is the best day to post, which type of content that people like the most based on what you're posting. And based on what I'm sharing with you guys, I want you guys to write this down. 90 days. Give yourself 90 days based on what you're learning in this mini workshop to see results. If you give up before 90 days, it's not going to work. Remember the compound effect. Small, consistent activities compounding upon each other as time goes by. So now I'm going to share with you a brief kind of account optimization checklist for any platform that's out there. Okay. This is a checklist. All right. And take a screenshot if you need to or anything like that. But this is what you should think of or consider or check off as you're looking and self-auditing your existing social media footprints, or if you haven't started anything yet, making sure that you have these things set up. So I'm not going to read each and every one of these things. We're going to go into detail on some of these, but each platform utilizes pretty much everything on here except for some like playlist sections. LinkedIn doesn't have that when it comes to video and other things, but we're going to talk about that. But everything else is pretty much universal on any platform that you're on. All right. So with that said, just to get started, because I know this is quite a few things listed on this checklist, here's some initial homework for you guys. Having each account with the following completed: your user display name, your bio or about text, vanity URLs, meaning those are URLs that are customized. They're not just random things that these platforms give you. A profile image, some sort of channel art. That's that big art or real estate space that a lot of people don't take advantage of for branding and establishment of authority, and hashtags. Those are the first initial things to get set up, and that's pretty much universal on any platform. Now, let's talk about hashtags real quick. Hashtags, if you guys don't know, is pretty much, and like I said, I'm an older millennial here, is the indexing system back in the day at the library. You guys remember that? Do you guys remember the index card system where you had to bring out that long drawer and look through alphabetical order to find a specific book where it's located? Then you go to that section, that shelf, and then find whatever it is that you're looking for. Quite frankly, that's exactly what hashtags are. It's an indexing system for social media platforms. And when you think about it, there is a science behind hashtags. It's not a matter of, oh, let me look at the hashtags and see how many people are using it. That's a big no-no on Instagram, especially if you're using a particular hashtag and you see that 1 million people are using it. Don't use that hashtag. I'll say that again. If you look up a hashtag and you see 1 million people or so, or 500,000 people using it, do not use that hashtag. That's a big myth. It's the exact opposite. It is the hashtags with the smaller amount of users that you want to use, especially as a business owner. You know why? Because when people look up or click on that hashtag, if you're a part of that big pool of 500,000 people, you're just a blip in the hashtag universe, versus a hashtag that has a smaller amount of people, like 2,500 or so. You have a bigger chance of standing out, let alone it won't be a blip when someone's scrolling through on their phone, and they'll be and the fact that you have the bigger opportunity to appear more and have more exposure. So with that said, with hashtags, these are the kind of like 5 categories of hashtags you all should consider when doing social media. Trending type of hashtags. Those are like the TBT, which means Throwback Thursday, or FBF, Follow Back Friday, or there's so many different ones out there. A branded hashtag. So that would be, for me, Live Video Lab. That's the name of my company. And locational. ATL, I'm located in Atlanta, Georgia. ATL Beltline, that's a brief example. Interest-based, right? Natural hair products. Interest-based, when I have natural hair products, meaning in the African American community, we talk about natural hair. So natural hair products, interest-based. Selling a home, or interest-based. E-commerce, but making it more specific based on location. Then there's intent based, right? Intentional. What is it? This type of hashtag is really for those who are ready to buy or purchase or be an immediate prospect of yours. Really start brainstorming some intentional based type of hashtags. Again, this is all universal pretty much. And what I'm stating here especially works the best on Instagram and Twitter. Okay. Now, with that said, let's talk about, okay, Monique, you're telling all these different things, but how do we get started? What are the initial steps? Well, I kind of put this brief graphic to you guys as far as like a content mix or a content type of matrix to utilize to see what it is that you all can get started with today based on what you're most comfortable with. But I want to suggest that you all really start to stretch yourself when deciding this. So here's a general kind of overlay of a content mix that you can utilize for social media, no matter what platform it is. This even includes YouTube, because a lot of people don't think YouTube is a social media platform, but it is. Okay, so YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok. There's so many different platforms, right? But think about this. And a lot of these, again, as Gail has introduced me, I have a strong emphasis on video. That's actually the quickest and easiest way to beat the algorithm for any social media platform. Video is king. Written is the least. Video is king, okay? Or live video, if you will. Then there's photos, okay? So even on Instagram, which started off as a photo platform, video ranks higher, guys, than photos on Instagram, okay? So here's a brief kind of synopsis of different things that you could utilize. You could take a screenshot of this, but the things that I want you guys to really pay attention here is, notice I said this is not about you. This is about the viewer or your audience or who it is that you want to reach, your prospects, the 2 billion prospects on Facebook. Notice that most of what I've listed here is a two-way street. Yeah, a lot of it's talking about you, but in a way that it's helpful. It's helpful for people to learn about you, let alone also see and automatically see the knowledge that you have. And the thing is, the easiest ones to get started with, if you want me to suggest to you all, is the expert interviews here, market reports of what's going on, and testimonials. Those would be the ones that I would say are the easiest to get started. Okay, these are what I suggest for you all to consider. And I kind of have this blank slide here because I want you all to only choose 5 of what you see here. I'm not saying for you all to do all of them. Maybe one day you will, right? But to choose just 5. So that's the next homework assignment based on this content mix. So based on that, though, I know you guys are probably like, okay, how often do I do this? You talked about the compound effect. You keep mentioning it. Small, consistent activities. Well, let's talk about some cadence, some posting cadence for Instagram. Here's Instagram. Instagram is a great platform to get started with. That's why I am actually stressing this here versus all these other things. So, and also Instagram is owned by Facebook, okay? And a lot of what I'm sharing with you, Facebook has now made it easy that when you're posting to Instagram, you can simultaneously automatically post it to Facebook as well. You just have to do some initial steps initially. So for Instagram posting, I highly suggest doing an IGTV once per week. IGTV is the quote unquote YouTube version of Instagram, meaning you can do longer form video on Instagram versus the initial 1 minute or even the 15-second stories or reels that Instagram has gives you the opportunity to do. So IGTV is, think of that as longer form content. And depending on your Instagram profile and also the amount of followers in this case, not to say, again, you have to have a lot of followers, but IGTV allows you to have extended like up to 60 minutes, but you have to be a certain ranking type of Instagram profile. Then there's Reels. Reels is the newest type of feature of Instagram. It's Instagram, aka Facebook's way of saying to TikTok, hey, we can participate in this game as well, as far as doing really short form content, utilizing music and being really creative. Okay, so Reels is something to consider to do once per week. And I'm not saying that you must do TikTok dancing. You'll be surprised. There's a lot of people utilizing TikTok, still being educational, not using music, but using the features out there to get people's attention. I would say to use the same principle for Reels. For posts, doing at least, again, this is all what the initial steps for just getting started, but posting 3 times per week and never not have a story. If you don't do any of these things, at least have a story every single week. Okay? Have a story. Those stories are when you go into Instagram, you see those circles up top and you see a colored ring around it. Those are the stories that I'm referring to, where you can put small little clips of videos together, show people behind the scenes of your business, give people tips, allowing people to ask you questions. There's so many different things. And then once you get a handle on this, here is a brief way or kind of how to break out your week utilizing what you put on Instagram and have it apply to all the other social media platforms. This even includes Google, being local on Google as well, because with Google, you can actually start utilizing pictures and different things that you would put on other social media platforms and make it work for you for local SEO and all that great stuff. So this is a great kind of breakdown. We kind of just threw it in here together using just like quotes or pro tips, a market snapshot, showing something that you're passionate about, your family, whatever you're most comfortable with, doing quick answers. Taking that, doing that first on Instagram, and then rinse and repeating it, and even include it in email marketing. Because I can't believe I even said this, but with social media, you have to have an email list if you haven't done so already. Okay, you have to have an email list. So take a brief snapshot of this, snapshot of this, because we just broke it down just to give you a brief example of this. And to give a little bit deeper as to what this could look like, we kind of dove in even deeper on what you could do for pro tip, right? And how you can go about repurposing your content. So pro tip, let's just say you have all the platforms out there, and here are some suggestions as to what to do for each of these platforms. So again, doing a post, I would recommend doing a video post on Instagram and some sort of story. Doing taking that and even uploading it to YouTube. In fact, I would even change this from post to IGTV so that you could put it on YouTube, right? Then a post or a story both on your profile, your page, and your group. Remember that mini ecosystem we talked about with Facebook. Then doing a share on Messenger. Okay, Messenger, there's the opportunity to utilize what you call messenger bots. This helps a lot with a local business. Think of this as an opportunity of having the an extra step or extra footprint in addition to emails, right? Having Messenger or some sort of text messaging platform. Like, for instance, community.com. I love that platform for generating what you call text messaging lists, okay? Then embed it in your blog. Do a transcript of that. Have a VA or even do it yourself, but I highly recommend doing outsourcing because I know we are busy people as business owners, but embedding that in a blog post and having the transcript and either written out in blog post form or just having the transcript below just as a bare minimum. Then there's the LinkedIn profile, your LinkedIn page, emails, Google, making a post on local Google, chopping it up into small stories for Snapchat, chopping it up for TikTok, utilizing a podcast. Don't ignore podcast, especially with video. All you got to do is separate the audio format of it, possibly record an intro and outro for the audio only audience of podcasts and putting it up on iTunes, Spotify, and other places. Doing Twitter and also Pinterest. Okay. So this is just a brief, again, snapshot on how you can repurpose this and make this work for you. And then before we even wrap things up, because again, this is just a brief overview of how this can all work for you all, I'm going to share with you some just immediate things to do on certain particular platforms. So I know we talked a lot about Instagram, right? But here's what you want to do with Instagram. You want to drive people to the DMs. DMs stand for direct messaging. That's the opportunity for people to get into your personal message inbox, and you will be surprised on the amount of conversions and sales or leads that you can generate by talking and having personal conversations with people. And guess what? In the DM section on Instagram, you can do voice messages like audio voice. You can do mini video clips. I would suggest actually utilizing that for any platform that has the personal message feature to it. So what is that? LinkedIn, Facebook has that. To do the personal message, Twitter has that. Doing the DM and making yourself automatically stand out instead of just sending people a bunch of texts. Use audio and video, because guess what? People will more likely listen and or watch immediately. Another thing, do not ignore comments, no matter what platform you're on. Please do not ignore comments. Don't take them for granted. In fact, what did we say? Social media is all about engagement. So if you are replying to comments, you are helping yourself rank higher in the algorithm. Again, we're talking about your social media brand. You are not at the whims of these algorithms. You have complete control. You just got to know the rules of engagement, the rules of the game, and make it work for you. This is no longer the excuse or the opportunity to say, oh, I'm just going to throw a bunch of things. No, we're going to be strategic and intentional here. Okay. And then, even though we kind of introduced you guys a cadence here, but bare minimum, shoot at least one video per week on Instagram or any platform. And when it comes to stories, because remember I said, no matter what, at least have stories, have 5 to 10 stories a week. That's very feasible. In a week, I'm not saying in a day, people, in a week, 5 to 10 stories a week, small little clips put together in a week. Okay. Now, we didn't talk much about this, but we cannot, especially as business owners, ignore LinkedIn. Okay, LinkedIn. And the thing about it here is that with LinkedIn, video is king as well, guys. Can you believe it? Video is king. So the thing about with video on LinkedIn is there is a time limit, it's 10 minutes. And you can also go live, but it's not readily available to everyone. In fact, I don't have access to live video on LinkedIn. But Brent Larry, who is a board member of bizsugar, I'm sure you guys are familiar with him. He has capability to do that, which is so amazing. He's able to get so many results and has built up an amazing brand for himself as a result of doing that. And also looking to do recommendations for people. When people see that, it's kind of like that reciprocal effect. People want to, return the favor. But above anything else, I'm not saying for you to do 10 minutes of video all the time. The shorter, the better, especially when you're just getting started. All you got to do is whip up your phone. You can even do it simply by opening up the LinkedIn app itself and doing it directly there. Or If you're more comfortable with, okay, I want to record it first and do whatever editing or, how many takes I need to do, have it saved to my camera roll and then upload it, that's fine as well. Now, the next slide I think is a little messy here, and I apologize for that. But basically, this is saying getting to the personal messages, all right? Making sure you comment and also not ignoring articles, okay? Articles. I love that LinkedIn now has incorporated what you call like a newsletter type of feature now, where it's taking their LinkedIn articles to another level. And it's something where, especially as a business owner or a local business owner, where you can gain a lot of traction because it's their newest feature. Okay. But with all of those things, all that I share with you will go out the window if you do not have a call to action or easy to remember URL, a URL. No matter what you're posting, unless it's something about your family, of course, or something really personal, but always having a readily available call to action URL to push people to. Because no matter what platform that you're on, you got to have that URL in the description, or you got to say it several times. You got to ask people to put it in the comments. This is an example of someone doing this on Instagram Live, okay? So having a call to action, you don't want to just post things to social media and people just see it and say, oh, that's awesome, and give you a comment. We're all here to be intentional and to be effective and garner business. So you got to have a place to send people to. Now, I'm going to skip over some things here because based on time, but there's the opportunity to do things as far as doing live webinars where you're educating people with web classes, very similar to this, what we're doing here. Even though it's on Zoho, you could do the same thing on Instagram Live. And here I'm just giving you a brief demonstration. I'm not going to go into the steps here. Let me know in the comments if you want to learn more. I'm more than happy to share it with Gail and the rest of the bizsugar team. But you can do Instagram Live webinars with slides incorporated. It's just saving those slides as pictures and importing them as a camera roll onto your smartphone. Okay. And this is just examples of people doing a live webinar, as you see here. He's just sharing slides and also doing a live Q&A. Well, ultimately, this is how you can make, no matter if it's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, even though you see Facebook Live up here and Instagram Live. But when you're taking video format, take a screenshot of this if you like. Here's another way or another kind of twist to repurposing your content, okay? And making your own ecosystem appearing everywhere, as omnipresence is, that's the definition of it. Right? This is something what Cardone that I introduced you all to today does. And he has a team for it. And I'm not saying you have to do all of these things, but eventually to get to this level. So I just want to say thank you so much. I absolutely love sharing. I'm all things social media. And I would love the opportunity to open it up for questions.
Okay, so everyone, you can still take the polls, and in a little bit here, I'll hit publish so you guys can see the results. And in the Q&A, you can type in any questions you have for Monique that were something she covered or maybe something she hasn't covered yet. So Anne said, great checklist. Are you using any tools to determine what the best hashtags are to use?
Great question, and there are several tools out there. I'll be frank. Initially, with me getting started, I just did it manually, and I'll be frank. I'm not familiar with all of the hashtag tools out there. I know there's pros and cons to some of them, but I did learn some great things by a good friend of mine. Her name is Courtney Schoberg, SJOBERG, from Be Social. She's known as the hashtag queen. Okay. And she is the one that I go to. She has her own hashtag service where she and her team looks up hashtags on a monthly basis for you so that you can have customized lists and things like that. But to answer your question, no, I don't have like an immediate tool to suggest. I know there's different ones out there, and even like with these social media posting platforms like Hootsuite and things like that, they have the hashtags in there. But it's just a matter of, I would say, getting familiar yourself manually and then figuring out a tool to help you automate it.
Okay, so Martin just wants to confirm that she's called the hashtag queen, and the
Yes.
site is BeSocial, BeSocial, probably .com, but you'd have to check and see.
Yes, I'm actually gonna check it right now. But go ahead, sorry. Okay, sorry. This is her website. It's shesocial.co. I'm sorry, not BeSocial, so I'll put it here. Shesocial.co is, and her name is Courtney, and I apologize for this being all in caps. Schoberg. She's amazing. The name of her service is called Hashtag File Society. So hopefully that answers your questions.
Okay, great. And hopefully everybody can see that. And so it looks like Instagram is your base, and then you do all the others from what you do there, basically. So are you using an Instagram automation tool of some kind?
No, I'm not. I should, but I'm not. I'm doing this manually. Only because a lot of the platforms out there, it's kind of like I feel like it's a wave, right? They have like love and hate relationship with third party softwares out there who are using their APIs to tap into their platform. But any platform, when you're actually manually uploading directly using the apps on your phone, all social media platforms prefer that. However, I know we're business owners and we're busy, hence why it's great to outsource it. But some initial platforms, if you want to get started with some automation, Hootsuite is a great one. There's so many other ones. I don't know why my mind is going blank right now, but Hootsuite is a very good one to get started. Buffer is another one. And I can't remember two other ones, but yeah, those would be the ones that I have utilized, but I do mine primarily manually. So for certain things, I'll just let you guys know. Things when it comes to like my personal brand or something personal, I'm posting that manually primarily. However, when it's like content or tips and things like that, I actually have a VA do that for me who has access to my accounts. So that's how, or kind of like a brief kind of workflow on how I'm making that happen.
Okay, so a couple others that I know about are Agorapulse and Sprout Social.
Yes, thank you.
Don't know
Those were
if
the
those
two. Those were
are the two you were thinking of, I
Yeah.
think. I'm not sure whether they work with Instagram or not. Instagram really isn't my area of expertise. Okay, so we have some new questions.
Okay.
I try to say people's names, but I'm not always sure. Jamiqua, I think, asks, what is the best social media platform to use if you're a first-time book author that self-publishes?
Great question, and thank you so much for asking that question, Jamiqua. So, for one, as an author, I know a lot of people are authors because they hide behind their books or they're introverted. And I'm not saying that's what you are. But to make yourself instantly stand out, use video for one. As far as the platforms, I would say Instagram and Facebook to get started with. And using video, if you haven't already done so, but a good friend of mine and previous client, Coach Jenny, we had her document her process and even included pictures and videos and putting it on Twitter and other things. But she was documenting as she was putting the book together, showing people the different steps of what she's doing, and even having her tribe chime in about what chapters to include and not include. I'm not sure where you are in the process, but even before a book is written, there's opportunities to utilize social media and using video to do that. And so, to answer your question, I hope that I answered your question, is getting started both on Instagram and Facebook. It would be my strongest recommendation based on what we covered in the workshop today.
Okay, I happen to know there are some groups on Facebook that like to talk about self-published books or books in general. Always look for groups where your audience already is that will allow you to sometimes mention yourself. Don't do it all the time, but every once in a while. A lot of them will have a day where they ask the authors to share their latest or whatever. So look for groups that already exist. And also, if you can build your own group, that works great. But it is kind of time consuming and you have to grow it over time. You have to maintain it. So just so you know. Martin said, I am doing it manually too, but I save it in a document like Ulysses and then repurpose it and curate it to the flavor of the social media platform.
Yes, exactly,
I,
Martin. So thank you for sharing that, Martin. The slides that I showed you guys on breaking it up for different platforms, that's exactly what I mean. And hopefully that was established. But I love that you put that in the comments, Martin, articulated it. Is yes, when you're repurposing it, don't just copy and paste it on every single platform is a different ecosystem, a different colloquialism, a different, certain features and references. Make it customized for each platform that you decide to post on. So thank you so much, Martin, for bringing that to our attention.
all right, so I'm going to skip that one right now, Martin, for just a minute. He said he's using a live streaming service called Haps that Eileen Smith introduced him to.
Okay.
And then the last thing he said is he's mentioning Hello Woofie, but I don't know what that is. He says Hello Woofie was reviewed on Small Business Trends. That's smallbiztrends.com in case anyone's not familiar. And you interviewed the founder on your podcast, Ego Netcast. Martin is a big podcast person. And he says, thank you. I don't know what those are, so I can't really speak to that. Are you familiar with Hello Woofie?
I'll be frank, I'm not familiar with Hello Woofie, so I'll be sure to look that up. Thank you for bringing that to our attention, Martin. But I love the fact that you interviewed that person on your podcast. Yes, having a podcast is something to consider, especially for local businesses, because a lot of local businesses do not have one. And it's a great way to become the digital mayor, is what I like to tell my clients, or the local celebrity because of having something like that. And honestly, I'm all about video podcasts and then stripping out the audio for audio podcast.
All right, always good to do both.
Mhm.
So Martin clarified that Hello Woofie is another tool, another social media tool like Hootsuite, Buffer, Agora Pulse, Sprout Social.
All right. Yeah, I'll be sure to include that in my list of tools to consider. Of course, I would check it out first, but yes, I love that there's something else to help us out with the automation of posting.
Okay, so I have a question for you. Are you just always camera ready, glammed up, or do you like take a day and change clothes 4 times and make 4 clips one in a row because you already got your hair and makeup and all that done? Or how exactly do the people who live on camera pull this off? Because that would stress me out really badly.
Oh my goodness, Gail, thank you so much. First things first, no, I'm not always like this. I wish, but no. Um, a lot of times, like for instance, when I'm doing content, and even though we talked a lot about Instagram, I do a lot on YouTube, and all I do is like change the top or take off this jacket or something, right? So I'm all about like doing batching as much as possible. So that's why I was intentional with the slides. To show you guys how to do this on a weekly basis. So don't feel like you have to do this every day and always constantly changing, like dedicating a day in the week where you're getting a lot of this stuff done, where you don't have to be made up all the time. But I also want to stress this to you all. A lot of people actually, and we learned this through the pandemic, or last year rather, is that people relate to people not always being glamorous, right? Because a lot of times, if we're always positioning ourselves to be this glamorous person, we're actually creating a obstacle or just a wall for people to relate to you more. So there's a lot of people that I know where they'll just go while they're to the grocery store or whatever. They're looking, half mess, but people appreciate it because it's the content that's coming out, and people are seeing the fact that you're showing up no matter what and not being self-conscious of how you look and being there to deliver and serve your audience. Because again, the beginning step of every social media ecosystem is your audience. And so knowing that will allow you to show up no matter what, especially if you have something that you need to get off your chest. Whether you like him or hate him, Gary Vaynerchuk, listen, he just goes with it. And I know he's a man, but I mean, he's done videos where he's on the plane. You hear the background noise of the plane. But because there was something that was so important, he wanted to show up, he did it. So to answer your question, Gail, I don't know if I answered it, but it's a matter of, one, either decide to batch create a day in the week so you can just dress up for that one day, or let that go out the window and show up no matter what.
Yeah, I think men definitely have a major advantage on this, and so do young people. Yes. I mean, I feel like the bad thing about this is older people, nobody really wants to see 67-year-old women on video, I don't think. So I feel like if you're young, do it now, because you're not really going to want to be doing it later.
That is one point, but there are a lot of 67-year-old people who have their audiences who show up and they're on camera. I just feel it's just a matter of positioning yourself and knowing that, hey, embracing yourself, because there is a thing, and which I hate that this exists, that ageism exists in the social media world. But there are students of mine, clients of mine, who are in the older demographic and who are doing well. And because there is that opportunity of people having that mindset saying, oh, I'm older, people don't want to see me, where he or she of my students, because they're both men and female, they've broken out and have been very successful because they haven't allowed that to be a false limiting belief. So there's both sides to it, but I say get on camera when you can.
All right. So who's this? Okay. So Alex, who's a female Alex, not our Alex, I think, could be either one of them, said she loves seeing older women on TikTok. She thinks there's a big market of younger women who look up to older women.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that, Alex. Yes, that's to my point. And I mean, for me, like, going through social media, and even though I'm an older millennial, there were older women that I looked up to where I'm like, okay, I want to be her when I get to her age, right? Because, and if it wasn't for that person to show up, I wouldn't have that as a goal or a mission of mine to do. So yes, that just all ties into that. And thank you so much for sharing that, Alex.
All right. So Bonnie said, I'd say show up still in the older demographic. She's 61 and she thinks we could break the ageism barrier with video.
Yes, most definitely. Thank you so much for sharing that, Bonnie. Yes, break it. And again, I can't stress that enough. Just consistent small activities, consistent small wins, consistent small videos, and then you can build it up.
All right. So Martin said that older individuals have experience, and I believe that's definitely true.
Wisdom. Yes, most definitely.
And so Bonnie said she's going to be an example and mentor. She actually says we can be an example and mentor, but I'm going to volunteer that she has the attitude to go out and do it.
I love it. I love it.
All right, Monique. So would you like to tell people where they can reach you?
Sure. So I don't know if you guys noticed on my slides, but just real quickly, LinkedIn is a great place, or even on Instagram. Monique O. Johnson is my vanity URL. So MONIQUE, the letter O, Johnson, is where you can find me on most of the social media platforms out there. Other than that, you can always go to my website, moniquejohnson.com or livevideolab.com.
All right, so we're going to close it up. Just so you know, everyone that is registered will receive a video after it's processed. And I will be putting the video and possibly a presentation, if Monique would like to make that public, in the blog post on the bizsugar blog. I'd like to invite everyone to attend our series of webinars that we present in the bizsugar Mastermind community. We do this on the second and fourth Wednesday of every month at noon Central. And you can find all the replays of our past webinars, including this one, and our upcoming events linked in one place. There's a tab on the blog at bizsugar at http, you don't need that part, blog.bizsugar.com/webinars. All right. We got a few thank yous in the comments. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you, Monique.
All right. Thank you so much again. Thank you for everyone who attended and who are watching this. It's been an extreme pleasure, not only being a board member of bizsugar, but being able to come today and showcase of how to use social media, not be a consumer of it, but how to use it and make it effective and work for your business. Thank you again.
All right. Thank you. Goodbye, everyone.